What happened here? Since when were there scratches next to the dark door?
Probably some kind of alien.
None of us are birds though. We've got a gator, some plants, a deer, whatever the heck Parasite is supposed to be. And I'm pretty sure we updated the office after Jacleb's attack.
This does not bode well.
Okay, well, whatever. Let's stop the video. Okay, hey guys, so yeah, here I am, nothing's wrong, and I'm fully on top of things. Super Sami Roll is an indie game platformer released by Sonzai Game, where you play as a silly little lizard rolling across several different courses, and has quickly become one of my favourite games of all time by simply just being fun to play. Okay, that doesn't explain it well, let me get into it. With its tight engaging gameplay revolving around tonguing your way to the goal, extremely satisfying speedrun opportunities letting you skip frankly absurd amounts of the level, and a bopping optimistic soundtrack, this is the game I've been most excited to talk about yet. My first exposure to this game came through a Nitro Ride video talking about the game, immediately piquing my interest. A platformer where you grab onto pretty much anything with rolling gameplay? Well, count me in, cause I sure am ready for this rolling platformer. Then I didn't play it for 2 weeks. But eventually, I sank my teeth in, got ready to play through, and, well, as I said earlier, this has become one of my favourite games of all time. And with what's looking to be an expansive sequel soon to come out, let's jump into this lizard leaping adventure. After the, admittedly, pretty unnerving splash screen, we're treated to a shockingly well-animated opening cutscene showing what to expect out of this rolling adventure, leading perfectly to the title screen. This opening cutscene is just so fun to watch, but it's pretty sad that you'll usually skip over it considering how much effort was put into the 16-second animation. I mean, it sure looks way better than any garbage attempt out of cutscene Game Freak does nowadays. When Sami, oh, that's the name of the silly little lizard guy, by the way, flies out to the open sky, or you could just click the screen, we get straight into the main menu, which might seem pretty odd for me to cover. I mean, like, Little Gator Game, Duck-like and Spookies all had pretty basic... Oh, okay, hear me out. I love this title screen despite how simple it is, because it perfectly emulates that mid-2000s GameCube era style, especially in combination with the sound design. It reminds me a lot of Super Monkey Ball of all things. Does anyone get that? Comment below if you think so. But comment below as well if you don't think so. Just give me engagement, please. Comment below. Regardless, the whole game in general feels arcade-like in design, from the time limit to the bite-sized 1-minute-ish levels. This is a style I kind of dig personally. Alright, let's actually jump into the story. Sami and his flying squirrel friend Vera are relaxing on the beach, enjoying the shining sun on the coastline, like Sami's making a silly little sandcastle and Vera's over there chilling. But all is not well, however, as Albert VII, I don't know what happened to the other ones, is displeased at the lack of his collection and seeks to capture rare exotic animals to... I don't know, to be honest. Probably to inflate his ego. Catching the two silly little animals off guard, Albert sets off with his drones to kidnap Vera, but of course, Sami isn't going to let that slide, so he sets off in pursuit of Albert to save Vera. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so the story isn't all that complicated, and it's pretty much just an excuse to get you to jump right into the gameplay, much like Spookies. Starting up the first level, the tone is eerily quiet as we get an overview of the tutorial level. Unlike any other level, there's no time limit, letting you take as long as you want to adjust to the game's controls. Beating levels requires you to touch a giant sleeping owl. Owluba. Is that how you pronounce it? I only know the owl's name now because they only bring it up right at the end of the game. After we head out, we enter the overworld of the game, which takes on the look of a retro NES game with some pleasing pixel art. Well, with a larger palette than the limits of the console. One really neat detail that I love is that whatever outfit you have on Sami will be reflected on his sprite in the overworld. That's something you rarely see in other games nowadays. So kudos to the devs. You get this cool star I drew in MS Paint. Yeah, that. Oh, speaking of outfits, each world has a shop run by this pretty fly guy. Get it? Cause he's a fly! Flynn over here provides all sorts of costumes, skin colours, and other knickknacks I'll bring up later on here. Wait, hold up. That cap looks familiar. Probably no one special. Alright, let's actually jump into the game. Again. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's Sami. Oh my gosh, he is so cute in person. Hey! Hey, Sami over here! Hey! Right here! Unlike other characters in platformers, Sami rolls to get around, letting him accelerate to pretty fast speeds if you can keep yourself rolling on the ground, which our next level, Rolling Clouds, perfectly shows. Alongside his unique form of movement, Sami can also use his tongue to grapple onto pretty much anything and jump off it. By everything, I really do mean it. The walls, the owl, even enemies can be grappled onto for extra movement or adding a risky factor to the gameplay. Now this is where the game truly opens up. So many opportunities and shortcuts can be made across the levels, climbing up walls, jumping large gaps, gaining extra height. There's a whole world of tricks you can do, and even some pretty absurd shortcuts can be taken if you're skilled enough. Last thing about Sami's movement I should bring up is his stomp move. I actually don't know if it's ever brought up how to do it, but by pressing shift in the air, Sami will immediately stomp onto the ground while bouncing higher than his standard jump. This move has a lot of utility, and I found myself using it a ton to adjust jumps, gain some quick height without tongue grappling, or land on platforms without losing momentum. It's also super smart of the devs to show a clear indication of what Sami is under too, so you can easily land on platforms or plan out when to stop down. Be wary though, Sami doesn't completely stop when stomping down, so it might not be a good idea to stomp on the edge of platforms. All of these abilities wouldn't go so far if the game restricted you to a set path, so I really love how the game gives you complete freedom to utilize Sami's movement however you want. The game doesn't even care if you skip the entire level. I mean, you put the effort to shave off those seconds, so it rewards you with lightning fast times. Unlike some other games like Sonic Frontier's short platforming challenge segments that aren't really built with a moveset like Sami's in mind, essentially being glorified QuickTime events. Sometimes the game even punishes you for using Sonic's moveset in a creative way, leading you into nothing.
But when I got over there and was expecting to find some sort of reward for my curiosity, I met with a single spring to take me back to the mainland.
I don't know if I'm right about this, or if I'm just taking a shot in the dark. I'm not really a Sonic fan, I haven't replayed the games. Let me know if I'm the wrongest person on earth about this. Either way, I'm probably gonna anger the Sonic fandom in some way. I have no idea why I decided to go on this tangent. World 1 features a lot of the core features and mechanics that you'll be seeing for pretty much the entire game. Each level has a raspberry, which is typically in a hidden or tricky to reach spot that you can use as currency for filling to buy certain outfits, and thankfully you don't have to worry about collecting it again if you fail after collecting the raspberry, which I'm kind of mixed on. On the one hand, it's a godsend on the lengthier and precise levels, giving me a sigh of relief that I don't have to beat the level while collecting the raspberry at the same time, but on the other, it feels cheap, like I kinda just cheated part of the level design and didn't put the effort in to earn that raspberry. I overall think it's better that they let you keep the raspberry after losing the level for accessibility, letting more people have a chance to satisfying you complete the game 100% though. Alright, enemies. Now, there's a ton of different kinds of enemies like these Shy guys who chase after you, and you also get a few different variations as you go on. I don't like these ones. They should delete those. There's birds that I barely found before. There's even these ninja turtles that throw Hadoukens and do spinning kicks. This is great. Unlike other games, when enemies hit you, Sami doesn't take damage or die. Sami will be stunned for a short while being thrown up high in the sky. Now this wouldn't matter much in normal platformers, but here's when the time limit comes in. I've brought up a couple times, but pretty much every level has a time limit, ticking down to 0, which will cause Sami to automatically lose the level. This makes enemies not immediately ruin your run most of the time, but it adds pressure to the timer and your rank. To counteract this though, coins not only can be used as currency for Flint, but they also add to the time limit by 1 second per coin. This is most prevalent in the Russian bump levels, starting you out with very little time to beat the level, having you collect coins to keep the timer flowing throughout the entire level. I really like this idea personally, as it can cause you to make quick decisions on whether to rush past the step coins and risk running out of time to achieve a better rank, or going out of your way to buy some time at the cost of a worse rank. Buy, because you use coins to buy stuff. At the end of each world, Sami will make his way to one of the Tower of Chaos levels. These are pretty bad honestly. When rolling through, the camera is automatic, circling around the castle, which affects Sami's tongue grapple mechanic, and not for the better. In normal levels, Sami's tongue is directed right in front of the camera, letting you have full freedom over where you can tongue at, which can let you get pretty precise if you're playing on PC, but on levels with an automatic camera, Sami's tongue grapple is dependent on what arrow keys you're pressing, which is really weird and jarring compared to the rest of the game, and it severely limits movement tech you can perform. And oh man, the bosses aren't all that great either. over. You basically have to wait until you can get Alfred to hit himself, which I kind of feel goes against the entire game being centered around beating levels as fast as you can, using the toolkit Sami provides you. Spoilers for the rest of the game, but none of the bosses utilize Sami's tongue grapple move, which sucks a ton. I feel like there's a ton of potential with that mechanic in the boss fight scenario. Hopefully in the sequel, they will fix up these end of world stages, because these levels are a low point in the game for me. Last thing to bring up here are secret exits. Each world has 3 golden hours, which will lead to a secret level that's usually focused on a gimmicky idea, like a strict time limit where you constantly open up new paths to the exit, or having to precisely move along a path while dodging those ninja turtles from before. Unlike regular stages though, you collect keys instead of raspberries as the collectibles. And where do these keys get you? Well, I won't quite spoil, but I sure hope you're ready for some Champions Row 2. Speaking of, this game, well, it sure does love to wear its influence on its sleeve. From the wooden block style levels, switching platforms, clear pipes to world themes, this cube thing. It's no secret all of this is inspired by 3D World in some way. Oh, and Sunshine too, I guess, but I never played that one. Yet they still managed to stick to their own style by spinning on these concepts, like wooden trees and other decor within the wooden block levels, or instead of being set on an airship up in the clouds, you're jumping through sky-high castles. Oh my gosh, you are such a silly little pal. You are so wholesome, man. You're just... you. Alright, World 2 throws a lot of the same things that World 1 did, but throws in a couple new things to keep things fresh, such as these giant eel things, these Womp-inspired guys who create shockwaves, and yeah, honestly there's not much World 2 brings to the table. But what it does do instead is expand on the ideas World 1 set out to do, now with much more challenge that you're getting deep into the game. This is actually something I have a pretty big appreciation of. Super Sami Roll of course isn't made with the biggest budget in mind, so assets and obstacles are often reused in later levels, but they remix them in different ways to create tons of different challenges, while keeping down on time spent making new enemy types or level assets. Honestly though, I probably wouldn't care too much if we only saw stuff from World 1 onwards, because the gameplay and control of Super Sami Roll is so strong. You could just give me a test sandbox level with no goal, and I would genuinely be glued to it for hours on end because of how fun it is to play around with Sami's control. My personal favourites of this world will probably have to go to Tubular, because the level just looks pretty cool in general, even though the slopes make rolling and speed and bounce pads pretty awkward. Bonus shaft goes to colourfully coloured blocks for having this insane skip which is very fun to pull off. Starting by World 2, Flynn's shop will start selling helpful items that can help you get by any tricky levels with tight time limits, or help clean up on any missing raspberries or keys. Also within this section of the shop are bonus items which will add extra modes so you can play from the title, although I'll save this for the next section. My thoughts on World 3 are actually pretty mixed, as it both has some of the best levels, which are super fun speedrun, but also has some pretty dreadful courses to endure. Coincidentally, this is when the auto camera levels start seeping into the regular levels. Copying Mario's homework, everything's ice themed, featuring ice making Sami's movement way more slippery, spawning icicles, which are super annoying, oh my gosh! Heavy blowing wind, which can be a hindrance, but can also be used to your advantage. Swap panels from Mario are also there, rising toxic sludge, where you constantly have to hit the switch to clear out the toxicity. The cosmic clones appear in the form of this ghost girl who starts summoning these fire spirits to chase after you. A tower which I also skipped. That rotating cube thing. You know, after saying all that, I'm starting to realise how underwhelming World 2 is in comparison. Still more than what Game Freak can offer. Enemies here include these ice wizards, which are basically this game's equivalent of spikes. These guys can easily keep you stunned by the way, so be careful on that. Flying drones, which canonize Sami being on the police criminal registry after dodging tax bills for the past 16 years, due to his adamant goal to make enough cash to make a trip to nondescript tropical island for the rest of his life. There's also these Rollin guys, they're cool. Despite the, honestly on a second look through, fantastic levels, the aforementioned auto camera levels drag down what would otherwise be my favourite world. Oh my god, screw Don't Fall Behind in particular. The fact they added an auto scroll into a game about running around as fast as possible is... well, his Sonic Force is alright.
Alright, here's the auto-scrolling part. This part sucks.
This is fun.
Finally, World 4 kicks up the heat, having dragons spew out fire and be fat. But this is when the game suddenly goes from 0 to 100. Oh my god, World 4 will not hold back. Levels start becoming actual endurance tests, having you need to survive hordes of obstacles just to make it to the end. But you know what? It's all the more satisfying when you do finish that hellish level. Seriously, these levels put World 8 of any Mario game to shame.
Oh my god, he's just jumping through it!
Except Wonder, that World 8 was peak, not gonna lie. I can't stress this enough though, World 4 is one hell of a ride to get through. I mean, like, look at this. Look at how precise you have to get through this level. Look how much danger Sami is putting himself through. He has to avoid all these lava waves which will insta-kill him. Alright, let's wrap things up. In the final Tower of Chaos, you don't face off against Albert. Oh. Oh no. In case you didn't infer from my monotone voice, this final boss is awful. It's terrible. Well, okay, let's go over it. Alfred gets into his, like, octopus thing for some reason, and takes the fight out to the lava lake in the middle of nowhere. I'm not sure where we are. You'd expect the strategy would be to hit him from the top when he's vulnerable, like you do for pretty much every boss. No. This is a rather bizarre choice on Deb's part, especially showing what would be a pretty obvious weak point in the opening cutscene. It made me think, oh, okay, just get over to the head and attack Alfred, which caused me to be stuck on this fight for 10 minutes without having an idea on what to do. I don't know if I was just that stupid, or if the boss was conveyed so poorly that I didn't know what to do and jumped onto the head twice before figuring out what to do. What you're actually supposed to do is throw the limbs into the flame boxes 4 times to beat Alfred. This is easier said than done, as Sami will still die from touching lava, meaning you don't really have much room to screw up. Be careful of the laser attack though. It's scripted to push you straight into lava, which will cause you to immediately lose. It's really sad that the game ends on this woefully weak final boss that uses none of Sami's unique abilities, but you know what? At least it's not Pokemon, so it's all good. Okay, this is getting really weird. Why does this music just start playing whenever I make fun of Pokemon? That's not good. After beating that pretty bad boss fight, the game doesn't just end. This is where the training wheels are off, buddy. You're here for the long run. Hopefully. Early on, Flynn can sell you these special items which, instead of giving boosts to the level, instead unlock entirely new modes on the title screen. First up, Super Marble. In this mode, you race up against 3 players in several speed-oriented courses to score a certain amount of points to win. Unlike regular gameplay, you can't tongue grapple or even jump. It's all on optimizing movement and timing when to cross obstacles to reach the goal. This is a pretty fun bite-sized minigame to boot the game up for, and yeah, it shows that I am indeed the superior AI around. I'm the superior gamer around here. I be gaming. Next bonus mode is more of a setting, I suppose, although it has its own save system in the menu, so I guess I'll have to count it as a separate mode. I mean, they could have made it a feature on the options menu to add a speedrun timer like Indie Game Update. Little Gator Game now has a speedrun feature that's been added in a recent update, letting you record your own times and strategize on what friends to make so you can shave off as much time as you can. Here's my time so you can try and beat me if you want. Also, I have a video on the game. It's pretty cool. You can check it out right there. Speedrun mode adds a timer that only ticks up during actual gameplay, then you get an accurate time on how speedy you are, and also includes any and all attempts of you trying to take shortcuts that you constantly fail on, causing you to waste more time than it would to beat the level normally, which makes me super annoyed and it's actually really dumb. Oh my god, let me do the shortcut already! The only other change for this mode is completely skipping all cutscenes, which is a nice way to jump right into the gameplay, although they could have just as easily made this a settings option. I mean, 4 files is more than enough for me. They really could have just made it an option in the menu instead of a new mode. This mode though, this is the real insane stuff. After beating the game, you unlock an entirely new campaign, playing as Vera instead of Sami. Yeah, I didn't see this coming at all, but you go through the entire game as a completely new character. In this mirror mode adventure, Vera works slightly different than Sami. Instead of having a tongue grapple, that for some reason is gross for anything other than a lizard. Vera can glide across long distances, and by long distances I mean entire chunks of levels. Because of this, some levels have different sections from Sami's version of these stages to support Vera's gameplay style. I will be honest though, I like playing as Sami more because his tongue grapple is way more fun to perform, and Vera's glide is just a bit too uncontrollable for my taste. Plus, bouncing off springs is weirdly inconsistent. Sometimes you'll get the gliding bounce, but sometimes it will cancel your bounce and you won't be able to get high enough. So, I had a good time playing through the Vera campaign, and I will certainly come back to complete it sometime. So, you've beaten the game, made it through all the special stages, raced some marbles, and sped around the game again. What now? Well, right at the start of the game asks you to select the difficulty. Oh no, anytime in the pause menu you can do this too. Selecting advanced mode, this is when things get real. Getting an S rank is actually pretty easy, even if you're playing casually, or if you can persevere through the grueling endurance tests of the checkpointless levels in advanced mode quick enough, you'll be awarded the elusive Maestro rank. Now, what does this mysterious, eye-catchingly colourful rank do? Nothing really. You get a cool medal on the overworld screen, yeah, that's it. But you know what? This isn't just a title that exists for bragging rights. This is the endgame of Super Sami Roll. Following the standard path is not how you're going to achieve pure Sami mastery. Having full control over the game mechanics and physics is basically mandatory if you ever want to have a shot at scoring this rank. How his bounce goes alongside ramps, taking shortcuts over huge chunks of the level, tongue-grappling at the edge of its reach to jump over spikes, doing the most precise movements to shave off as much time as you can. You better prepare yourself to be on these stages for up to hours on end just to see a few colourful letters. Which by that point you might actually get sick and tired of the music. Oh my god, the music. How did I not bring up this yet? Super Sami Roll soundtrack is so good. It's so good. The soundtrack is filled to the brim with fucking beats that are just the most positive, uplifting music you can think of that keep you going, even in lengthy quests for obtaining Maestro ranks in advanced mode. That's kinda it, to be honest. I'm not really that good at knowing how music is good, but yeah, Super Sami Roll soundtrack is peak and you should listen to it. Maybe you're not right after playing for hours on end, that might not be good for you. Now, I've spent some time thanks to this rainbow rank. I still haven't even beaten World 4 in my Maestro rank file, but Jesus Christmas Santa Claus Christ, you'll feel like an absolute god finally completing these levels with a Maestro rank. Thank goodness, by the way, that resetting a level is easy as... Oh my god, that was fast. Okay, I'm back. Here's my new friend, Jester Horse.
Wait, what
It's the new friend, Jester Horse. It's Sami.
But why did you do this before dealing with, well, the obvious?
Okay, look. We'll get to the whole Jacleb thing right now. Wait, hold on, I need to wrap up this video. If it wasn't obvious by my thoughts, Super Sami Roll is an excellent indie game that pushes what it uses to its limit and makes the most out of its extremely fun gameplay to be what might actually be my favourite game of all time, even setting the standard for what other games should look to copy, having easy enough level design to complete that makes it accessible to newcomers, or adding many different ways for experienced players to push the mechanics to the limits. Also, I just find Sami really cute. I love his design, even though it's so simple, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what Sonzai Games is cooking for the sequel, and with what the Steam description seems to be hinting at, it looks like we're going to get just a bit more than a bigger adventure in the theme park. Damn, I'm really bad at concluding these videos. How am I gonna end this in like a comedic...